Federal High Court in Abuja has declared the plan by former presidential candidate Professor Patrick Utomi to form a shadow government as illegal. The court ruled that the concept of a shadow government is not recognized under Nigeria's 1999 constitution and violates the presidential system of government. The Department of State Services, DSS, had filed the suit, arguing that Utomi's actions were an attempt to undermine the legitimacy of the democratically elected government. The DSS expressed concerns that the proposed shadow government could destabilize the country and incite political unrest. The court issued an order restraining Utomi and his associates from proceeding with the plan, stating that their actions posed a threat to national security. The DSS had warned that the shadow government could mislead the public and fuel discontent, ultimately threatening Nigeria's constitutional democracy. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now for a chat about the court judgment declaring shadow government unconstitutional and the new approach by the DSS to resort to the judiciary to settle some security issues rather than the previous approach of deploying force. Welcome to Newsday, Mr. Sobowale.
It's a pleasure having you as usual.
So what do you make of this judgment? Does it in any way affect the ability of individuals or groups to critique or challenge government policies and actions?
It does. The judge was very, very explicit. And I admire her because she went out of her way to stress that freedom is not absolute. And you see, people are trying to test the mettle of government. And the DSS, in trying to be legalistic and constitutional, in a way, has shown that government is not keen on using force to deter people. But excess of anything is bad. Utomi, who went to court, is said to be a professor of political economy. He should know that when you have a shadow cabinet, it is in the parliamentary system. It is alternative to the cabinet. Just like Kemi Badenoch is leader of opposition. She has her own cabinet. That is it. That is parliamentary system. We left that ages ago. This is a presidential system. The buck stops on the table of the president. They should know that. People should not be parading ignorance and then be treated with kid gloves by government. Because if government does that, there may be people who may not come out in the open and use human rights as excuse to cause and foment disturbances and threats against the political stability of this country, while the government, the DSS, is trying to be legalistic. You see, in the US, they called it lawfare. The Ministry of Justice uses the law to enforce the policies of the government. But the opposite is happening here. It's as if government or DSS are, to me, overconfident. Because using democracy to rule requires some element of force, legitimate force. Like the judge said, I think now what government should do is to take Utomi to court. That's violated the constitution. So running the country and exercising human rights is not a lawless thing. It's not an absolute limitless thing, just like the judge has pointed out. So let's leave it at that for now. Yeah.
Let's also talk about the timing of this move. Should we be surprised that we saw Utomi pursue this at this point? You know, everyone's looking at 2027, but just talk about the timing. Why is this happening now?
Yeah, it's mischievous. The timing is deliberate, mischievous, but overall, it's to catch attention. It doesn't have that much mandate. It doesn't have a party. I think, to me, it is even more of nuisance value. I think that is what the DSS has gone out of its way to show. That we know our duty, our functions, but then the law takes its course. But at the same time, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So it's up to the DSS to know what to do now. Having had the legal proclamation that what she has done is illegal, she will be prosecuted to deter people. That's my take.
Now, Mr. Sobowale, I'd like us to talk a bit about the DSS resort to the judiciary to settle security issues. What do you think are the potential benefits and then drawbacks of this new approach? Something that, ordinarily this isn't the approach that the DSS would take.
And they are trying to appease the human rights community, but they should not do it at the expense of deterrence to people who want to destabilize the Nigerian state. They should have a way of packaging it. I don't like it. If people violate the law, let them know they have done it in the court of law. See the way you have interpreted it now, as if they are using the judiciary. Because they are being legalistic. They are following the rule of law. You get me? So they are taking the ammunition out of the sale of the human rights people. That government knows its rights.
Mr. Sobowale, don't you think it's a bit contradictory? If you say they are following the rule of law and at the same time you say you do not like it, are you saying that they shouldn't follow the rule of law?
You are getting contradictory yourself. That is not the issue. I'm laying out the facts. It is the duty of government to deter those who want to contest power with it illegally.
But shouldn't that be done using the rule of law?
That's right. But this is an aberration. Going to a court, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Especially when it comes to, this is insurrection. It is plain, blatant insurrection. And the DSS has accommodated it. And you are still saying they are using the judiciary. When does government or its agents, when do they mean? When they use their power? People have forgotten that government is not a tea party. If you have the mandate, you should have power. I keep on repeating what government is here. A government must use its legitimate power. The violence at its legitimately to secure the rule of law. They are bending backwards to secure the rule of law, and yet you are still criticizing them.
Mm-hmm. And as a follow-up question, at what point do you think it should be judiciary versus, a more forceful approach? At
the first instance, when you told me, the moment I saw it, as a political scientist, form a shadow cabinet in a parliamentary system, it's a violation of the Constitution. Should have been prosecuted. See, maybe he wants to be made a political martyr. But now, the DSS has done something very legalistic to secure the judgment against his action. And the judge has gone out of his way to support the DSS and to tell us about the limits of human rights. Human rights is not a substitute for subjugating the government of the day on the altar of human rights. That is it.
So how is this judgment, likely to impact national security and governance in Nigeria, particularly in terms of promoting stability and preventing potential threats to the government?
It has shown the limit of human rights manifestation or display or show off. It has shown the limits. And it is up to the human rights community to respect it or not. If Utomi persists now, you should know the logical sequence. It should be prosecuted. Even right now, they have legitimate excuse to prosecute him because they have violated the Constitution. And I'm sure he knew that before he started doing it, that forming a government in opposition in a presidential system is not on, it's illegal. In presidential system, its winner takes off for the next 4 years. So, you see, this is constitutionalism. The rule of law, let us applaud the DSS for that. Let us applaud the judge. So it's not a case of using judiciary against people. It's people violating the Constitution with impunity on the premises of human rights. It's condemnable. What else?
What do you think we should be looking for as this plays out, in the coming days and the coming weeks? What should we be kind of watching or reading in the tea leaves?
Yes, maybe Utomi should apologize for disturbing the Nigerian state, and other human rights people should know what the judge has. Go and read the judges. If I'm in government, I will ask them to publish the judgment of the judge. It's a beautiful judgment on human rights, the limits of protest, and the rule of law. That is it. Let us study that. Let us all learn to criticize, to support within the ambits of the law, not outside the law.
So do you see other security agencies, following suit in this manner that the DSS, has taken? And is it possible, maybe that's just what is needed to build trust, between Nigerian citizens and the security agencies?
But you see, the DSS has bent backwards too much. You get me? You don't need to go to court to secure deterrence. Do you get me? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. You see, now they have put judicial interpretation before the application of the law. They have the power to arrest somebody for violating the Constitution. Then it's up to that person to prove what he has done in the court of law. Now, they have secured a judgment against people. The logical thing is to prosecute them. So let's see what they will do next. And maybe we come to debate that later. Next question.
Well, that's it, Mr. Sobowale. Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.